All right, James, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Well, and today we do something really special. I think students should also sometimes experience that we do have a library.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sometimes they don't even know.
that's right. So this is a fabulous library. Have you enjoyed the library so far?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I as a researcher find it phenomenal. But I know there is more than just that library.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to special collections?
No, I actually haven't been.
You haven't? Oh, this is a secret. We should, students, this is for you today. We want really to show you something very special. We cannot show you in class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today we just show you, I would think some of the secrets of our library. So, shall we go to the special collections? It's on the east side, the east wing, right? And it opens at 9 o'clock. It is open to all students and all faculty. Of course, special conditions. You cannot bring in your backpack, but you can bring in your laptop, and then you can do research, real research. And we're going to show you today the safe. We're going to the real secret place, like a bank. We're not going to rob this bank, no. But we're going to take a look at some of the greatest treasures we have. Bibliophile treasures, bibliophile, really books, beautiful books. So let's take a look, and we just walk over to special collections. And come with us. So today we're going to show you one of the greatest secrets. And here you can see special collections. So, James, here we are. That is the entrance hall of special collections. Mm-hmm. And you can see we have all kinds of exhibits going on right now that doesn't pertain to us. But you can always come in here. They're always changing exhibits. They have all kinds of different things. So let's go into the reading room over there. So follow us, and we will move over to special collections. Follow us here. They open at 9 o'clock. So come along, and we go in here. So here we are. Hello, Erica.
Good morning, Dr.
Good
Clausen.
morning. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We are now here in our special collections. This is James. James, this is Erica.
Nice to meet you, James.
And we're very happy that we can see today, right? You're giving us the permission.
Yes.
This is not normal, right?
No, not at all. Normally, all of our visitors come stay here in this room.
And this is actually common practice all over the world.
Yes.
Every library, every archive does that.
Yeah, whether it's a small archive here in Tucson or to a large one in Europe.
And it's just like in a bank. You don't go into the vault of the bank either, right? You go to customers and counters, right? Just like
No,
here.
that's correct.
So we do have really the very, very special permit. So we are privileged. So now we're going behind everything. We're going behind the scene. And you will lead us to the vault.
Yes.
All right? So James, let's do it. Let's come along. We're going to the vault. All right? So you lead the way.
Why don't you follow me?
Come along. We're coming into the offices, of course. And that's where all the workers and the staff people are doing their work. And I see already there is a door out of steel. That can only be the door to the vault. Erica, what is this really? Where are you taking us now?
This is the vault for special collections, and this is where we keep our most rare and precious materials here.
Is that really valuable stuff in there?
Very valuable stuff. One of the kind, I would have to say priceless.
I know, because so many of these facsimiles, we're just talking about facsimiles, they are thousands of dollars. But we have much more than just facsimiles, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have original rare codexes. We even have something called the Catholica, which is a leaf, which means it's one page, from Gutenberg's press. So that would actually is our oldest item in the collection.
That's the beginning of book printing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have around 50 what is called incunabula.
Yeah.
Incuna, coming from Latin, means from its infancy.
Yeah.
So it's books printed within the first 100 years of printing.
Actually, we call this the cradle.
Yes.
Right? That's the time of the cradles. So the beginning of really what everything constitutes the library. And so now we're going to the core of it.
Absolutely.
The secret spot and see really the incredible treasures. You see how exciting I'm getting? So this is fantastic. A great opportunity. So thank you once
It is
again.
even an opportunity for us because we love to look at the books just as much as
Yes.
everybody else.
And so we
why don't
share
you
that
follow me?
excitement. So come in. This is of course all cramped space, but this is all very secret and wonderful stuff. You can see already this is all climate controlled, right?
Yes.
What is the temperature here normally?
We like to keep it between 60 and 68 degrees with a relative humidity pretty low.
So it gets cold here, you know.
Definitely the coolest spot in the library,
Yes.
especially during the summer.
But we are talking about books that are 500 years and more old, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, one of the great things about being in the desert is that we have very relative humidity here, and so books actually last longer in the desert, say, opposed to somewhere in the south where there's much more humidity.
yes. So now we're just turning here around the corner and then take a look at a couple of examples. That's not yet what we will discuss in class, but we just take a look quickly at some of those really incredible treasures. So lead the way. And you can then see here, really truly, this is a library. Here we have all these wonderful books. Let's just maybe pick one that illustrates beautifully what an old book really means. I had selected, James, if you can move aside a little bit, I wanted to select, which one was it? Let's just pick this one. Yes, we wanted to pick this one. I have to be very careful. You know, these are very fragile items. How would you deal with books like that? 500 years old. It's just like you're driving a car 500 years old. How would you drive a car 500 years old? Now take a look at this. This is not necessarily the oldest. It is a book from 1531. But you can see that they have bound this book with leather. This is probably pig leather. And it was in some European library, we don't know how long ago, but it is purely animal skin. We don't have any particular illustrations here, and this is already printed. As you can see, this is printed, beautiful print. And it is of course in Latin, so it is a very, very valuable book. You can see it's a prologue to Aristotle's Physics, and so a very important scientific book. But let me show you something else which I find very important. I have to be very careful, Erika,
Yes.
and I try my best. Actually, in some libraries, they ask you always to use gloves. And I just learned recently that this is not necessarily the best because this is skin. My hands and fingers are skin. So they told me, some researchers told me recently, no, this skin is better.
Skin is actually better. That's the practice that we use here in special collections. We
Yes.
ask that anybody using a rare book wash their hands before using the book. We find once you put cotton gloves on that it actually dullens your senses and actually leaves the books more prone
Right.
to tearing.
Tearing, right. And I think the most exciting parts here might be if you turn to this shelf and you might recognize a couple of very famous names. I wanted to pull out here a work, and I have to be very careful. This is Chaucer. If you can see here, Chaucer's works, 1550. Of course, this is much later. Chaucer died around 1400. But we have here a print from 1550. This is really an incredibly old age. So you can see this beautiful binding, embossed patterns. Now I'm opening this book very carefully. It is a printed book. We have here an explanation. And this is now already paper in here. It says, the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, newly painted with diverse works, and so on. You have all kinds of scribbles by later owners. And then I turn the page, and it's of course a little bit smudged on the side. If you look at the corner right here, that shows you how many people have dipped their finger into their mouth. and then turned the leaf. So 500 years of human dirt. But it is a printed book and very, very important for us. So let me put this back. It was, I think, up there. And we have many, many other works. We have Spencer, for example, another work by Chaucer. We have Euclid, that's geometry. And so this whole library is just filled with incredible treasures. We will look today at one particular set that interests us. We will look at the Manesse manuscript. Now, of course, we do not have the original. The original is in Heidelberg, in Germany. But we do have the facsimile. We are so fortunate here to have then a almost perfect replica of this. So we'll go out of the vault. We don't want to stay here too long. It's too cold, and we don't want to damage the books. So we're leaving, and I'll go to the reading room of special collections. So we'll turn over there, and thank you very much,
You're
Erica,
welcome.
one more time. Good. Let's go out and then go to the actual reading room.
Okay. Well, let me pull the books first.
Ah, yes, thank you. So we always have to ask for special permission. We have to request the books, and then the librarian brings us those books and makes it available in the special reading room. So we'll go there now. Okay, so now here we are in one of those special reading rooms. We have now the Codex Manesse. You can see it's a facsimile. It says Codex Manesse, meaning the manuscript done by the Manesse family. Our poet, we are studying Walter von der Vogelweide, is also included. And we have a chance to look at the original manuscript, at least in facsimile.
And what does that mean exactly?
Good question. So we cannot afford, of course, to get the original manuscript. No library would ever grant us that, right? So a publisher came, a Frankfurt publisher, Insel, and they created a facsimile. That means an exact copy. Absolutely. You see all the dirt, you see the holes, you see the creases, as the manuscript actually looks like, but it is printed. That means, for example, I see here, it says exemplar 218 of 750. So they only printed 750 copies of this book, of this facsimile. Only 750, and our library is the 218th that got a copy. So that means there can be only about 750 libraries or private owners in the world that own that. So that shows you already how valuable that is. And normally we get these books only because we have some donors. We have friends of the library. The former president Schaefer founded that. So this is all very, very special. But I think for research it's phenomenal that we have that chance. So let's take a look at this. Open the manuscript. Let's begin with this one. So it is, of course, all very carefully kept here. We have some introduction to the text. It's covered here in this skin paper. And there we have here the first impression, how the manuscript actually looked like. You observe there the creases on the side. You observe some stitching holes. You might notice the dirt here. People flipped it over with their tongue, with their saliva. You notice some creases here, meaning that the parchment or the animal skin did not quite stretch smoothly enough. And sometimes you even see holes. I don't see a hole right now. It was a very valuable and very good manuscript. But you notice how beautifully it has been carried out. You have, first of all, you might notice some lines here which the rubricator created. Then the scribe came in and wrote the text, copied it from another manuscript or from oral memory. Then we had the artist who created these initials. That's very delicate artwork. And once this was done, you have the corrector. That's a man or woman who comes and compares and takes a look whether the text is correctly copied. Since this is parchment in the original, you can take a razor and erase the text.
Just shave it off?
Just shave it off as if it were a beard. So you just can erase the text and write over this again. I'd mentioned it before in class, with parchment it is very peculiar. Once you have ink, even if you can erase it on the surface, the ink penetrates the deeper cell structure. So with the help of infrared light, then we can actually find the text underneath the text, which we call palimpsest. That's a technical term.
They're doing that with paintings these days.
They do this with paintings as well. We mentioned this before, that kids do this with lemon juice, and so there's text hidden underneath text. And in critical theory, actually the term palimpsest has become a very useful term, because when we talk about text, there's always subtext. The poet refers to some other text. So from manuscript studies, we have been able to learn then also to utilize that term palimpsest for critical analysis of a text. Let's take a look at some of those illustrations. I have to leaf through a little bit to find a good illustration quickly. You have some there. Why don't we turn to another volume, and maybe James open this up a little bit. Let's see, we're beginning there. I think we are right at the beginning. Very interesting. So maybe we can turn it around so that you all can see really well. And what we have here is an attempt by the artist to reproduce an image of the poet. He's identified there. This is not a poet we are reading right now, but here you can see Herr Reinmar der Alte. There's a Roman numeral indicating what sequence we are in this big manuscript. You have the man, the singer right there, addressing his noble lady. And you might wonder about the facial features. If you took away all the trappings and clothing, then you suddenly would not even realize any gender differences.
Yeah, they look exactly the same.
Exactly the same: mouth, nose, eyebrows, the eyes themselves, look at the fingers, all the same, but the clothing makes a difference. The hair do as well. She wears the headgear, which marks her as a noble lady, but she is a married woman because of that headgear. Most interesting is we see this long stripe right in the middle, which indicates a scroll. So the poet obviously originally had scrolls and sang then his songs reading from the scroll.
So it's his text.
Yes, that's right. But now this is a scroll. This, however, is a manuscript. That's the difference between the old world, let's say antiquity, and the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages invented the book, found the book, and now we have a book.
So we have the codex in the Middle Ages.
That's exactly what a codex means, and we have it nicely written here, the Codex Manesse. So let's, one more thing. We also notice that he tried to identify that poet by including some coats of arms or the shield or the helmet. Now, this is all fanciful. This was created about 100 years after the songs had been composed. Let's take a look at another page. Didn't you have another beautiful? There we go. A very interesting, unusual image, because we have suddenly a whole crowd of old, sickly people. This reflects to some extent what is happening in the poem. This is a poem we're not going to discuss, but it shows how much the poet at least is trying to vary a little bit. Once again, you have the name, Hesso von Rhenach, you have the number, you have here some architectural design in the background, you have coats of arms, and then the crowd of people. You might wonder, why are these people so small? Are they all really just trunk people? And there's this normal poet. What do you think, James? Why are they so small? Aren't they all very small?
Well, it seems, I mean, it seems as though he's being identified with the aristocracy, and maybe that has something to do with it.
A very simple trick. If you want to show your higher social status, you're larger. So squires, farmers, they're all then small. That indicates the social difference. So let's turn maybe to a last example. And here we have a beautiful image of the so-called Burggrafe von Rietenburg. You might notice, if you can see really closely, there's a V, and then there's an O, and over the O you have the tilde, which means an abbreviation. As much as they could, they abbreviated. And so we have once again the poet who is now nicely characterized with his sword. Why? Burggrafe means he was an administrator serving as, let's say, the manager of a castle, like a count. Hence, he is of noble status. And here you have the poet, and you have a squire. And again, the squire is much smaller. And they have usual coats of arms. You have always the same faces. You don't even see many differences. But again, the scroll and some kind of seats and so forth. I think that should really pretty much, as an introduction, I think we can finish here and then turn actually back to our own discussion. So I think this was ends our visit in the library. Was it enjoyable?
I thought so.
What was the most exciting for you?
Oh, I think seeing the vault with the old books.
Isn't that? I find it always exciting. And today we had a really special permit. Normally this is not allowed, not even for me. So Erica was very, very kind to let us in. So Erica, thank you one more time, and thank you to the library. So thank you so much for all this. And I think it was a great way of looking at the manuscripts. And the most exciting thing for me is that you all can take a look at these manuscripts as well. You just can come here, you bring your card, and you ask for this facsimile, and believe it or not, they bring it out. And they let you look at it. So we are in special collections, but it's open. And interestingly enough, we are a democratic country. I was in Cambridge last summer, and I used the library. I was allowed because I was faculty. Graduate students were allowed. Undergraduates, no. Nada, simple, nothing. So it is really just a very special library for the researchers. Here, we regard you all as researchers. We allow you all in and to look at these incredible treasures. So, thank you very much, and let's turn then back to our discussion. Thank you, James. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Tony.